Kia ora koutou. Welcome to another edition of the Hot Air Sports Podcast with me, Whitebeard Macca, and my good mate Mahona. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good, mate. Really good. Raining here in Tamaki Makaurau this beautiful morning, but happy to be alive, mate. Happy to be alive.
Absolutely. Bit overcast in Greytown, living up to its name, Greytown.
Yes, fair enough.
Hot Air Sports Podcast today. We're going to focus on a few issues going around sport at the moment. Bit of cricket, bit of football, bit of rugby, and also
It's a
I'm
rugby
sure Mahona
league.
will have a bit of a league update for us
I certainly will.
with plenty going on. We're going to start with cricket, though, because
Yeah.
myself, Ian Smith and Jeremy Coney, and I'm sure a number of fans around the country were a little confused, bemused, and not overly happy with Black Caps batsman Daryl Mitchell's comments after the test, saying that the Black Caps aren't all about outcomes. It's about how they play the game and that, how they excite little kiddies out on the green fields of New Zealand, playing the game the right way. Well,
Yeah.
Daryl, you can have your participation certificate and shove it up your ass, as far as I'm concerned. And I think Ian Smith and Jeremy Coney were both of a similar thought. What do you think?
Don't we participate well, Macca?
Don't we?
Hey, aren't
Don't
we
we?
great? Aren't we great participators? Man, we are the best. We're the best participators in all of world sport. We'll participate in anything. But so long as we're the people at the end with this big smiles on our face and shaking the hand and go, well played, mate. Well played.
Yeah.
Just gave us another.
It was a moral victory.
Just gave us another beating about the 19th in 20 years or whatever it is. But hey, that's all good. No, look, we were in that bloody second test, mate. We just needed to show a bit more bottle, hold some bloody catches, and I don't know. I just question the selection as well. But Daryl Mitchell's comments afterwards, I just say more practice on your batting, Daryl, and less on the chatting. I mean, he's a guy that espouses he wants to be the captain of the Black Caps.
No thanks.
Well, his dad was captaincy material, mate.
I was actually going to say his words bear very similar tones to those of his father when he was the All Black coach. And that's a really good question.
Very good question,
Aaron.
Yes.
No, it's really it's more about the journey that we're going along the way, and lots of courses to take and avenues to follow. And then we go down, a particular road, and
it's a bit Brendan Rodgers, isn't it? Too, bit Brendan Rodgers, bit David Brent. It's just a little bit wishy-washy. It's just like, fuck, mate, you got one job: play cricket and win. And in the end, you don't win. I would have been so much more pleased to be able to just said, we are fucking gutted. We are so gutted that we lost that game. I think you would have got so much more in the. I mean, look. I suppose at the end of 4 days of hard cricket, they were pretty disappointed, but that's not a way to show disappointment. I just feel like maybe he's been, I don't know. Do you think he's been nobbled, as far as what he can and can't say? I don't know whether that's really him. I don't know whether that's coming from maybe people above. Maybe we need to talk about that.
Well, I mean, you look at even Southey after the game says, we're pretty gutted that we lost that, and just the looks on the guys' faces. And I mean, somebody like Rachin Ravindra, who's just come into the side and, by the way, picked up the Sir Richard Hadley medal for.
He did. Congratulations on that too.
Cricket the other night.
Yep.
But he just imagine him hearing what a senior player like Daryl Mitchell is saying. He would have done a double take and gone, sorry?
Yeah.
Worried about winning and losing? Come on.
Yeah. Especially against the bloody Aussies, right?
I know.
I mean, they should be the ones that we want to win against more than any other team. So, silly comments as far as I'm concerned. Let's go back. Forget the comments, though. What about the cricket itself? Were you happy with, first of all, let's go into the selection issues. I mean, Neil Wagner, they put him out to pasture. After the first test, we had a couple of injuries. We probably should have called him in. I can't believe they put Kugelheim over him, and basically, why the hell is Southey in there ahead of him as well? I mean, he was bowling dribbly, and he was very keen to bowl himself on that last day. I thought we missed a trick or two there. I mean, basically, we should have been bowling a spinner at one end, and either Henry or who was our other threatening bowler? Oh, the young fella.
Ben Sears in his
Ben
first
Sears. Either one of those two at the other end. That's what we should have done. Southey was so keen to bowl himself. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't like the selection. I don't like some of the, just.
If only we had a spinner that,
Mm.
a year or
Could
so
take 10
ago took
wickets.
10 wickets in an innings. If only we had one of those.
See,
that's
that's the
right.
thing. We've made a rod for our own back now. Southey's captain. We're going to go to India next. We're going to pick a maximum of 2 fast bowlers in the team in India, aren't we? We're going to have to probably bowl 3 spinners. I mean, I know we've got 2 spinners that sort of bat in the sort of middle to upper order, but we're going to need to bowl, have another spinner. How is Southey going to be the second best fast bowler we got in India?
Yeah, well, he's not. Basically, they've got to take, they'll take 3 quick bowlers, only use 2 of them, obviously. But it has to be Henry, O'Rourke, and Sears.
Has to be, doesn't it?
They're the only 3 that trouble any batsman over the summer.
And Wagner would be bloody handy to have in the subcontinent.
Yeah,
because that he'd bowl 8 overs straight, or 10 overs straight if you asked him to. And he could bang it in on a track that's a road. So selection issues. I just think it's just bits and pieces, little bits and pieces. I think we picked the wrong team in certain places. I think we got the wrong captain. I just and that's probably where it starts. The coach,
Well, the guy. I mean, Gary Stead. I mean, you were an average cricketer that played a couple of tests, and I've said it on social media. The coach at this level of the game is not telling Tom Latham or Devon Conway that this is how you should play a forward defence.
Absolutely.
This is how you should play a back foot drive. It's all about motivating them to do the job. Of
course it is.
You look at coaches around the world. Look at Scott Razor Robertson. He's not teaching Bowden Barrett how to kick a ball properly.
No.
Or how Hoskins Satutu should pack down on the back of a scrum.
No, when you get to the top level, those guys at the top level, they have people underneath that to do those fine-tune the players.
Yeah.
If it's your job to coordinate all that, isn't it? It's your job to basically sit at the top, give the players the freedom to express themselves the best way they can, and the way that they can is for them to be happy. A lot of the time you hear about great coaches like Jurgen Klopp or even someone like Graham Lowe way back in the day. What they do, they look more holistically at the person. They're more interested in the person than the player almost. So because when that person is happy, they play bloody well. Sean Johnson last year, first year back in Auckland, and all of a sudden he's playing well. It's not rocket science as far as that goes. He's sleeping in his own bed. He's got his own family with him. So certain things like that. How are your family? How are you feeling outside of the sport? And then you can concentrate, get the people, the micromanagers, the other coaches underneath that to look after the finer points of your game. You're not there. You're not selected at the highest level unless you're good enough, are you?
Yeah, well, I mean, if, let's say, Aaron Judge is going through a lean time with the bat, Aaron Boone's not saying, well, you should maybe look at
pull the elbow
stepping or, coming through from the side a bit more, or, that's the batting coach's job. Boone has got Aaron Judge in the lineup to do a specific job. And if he's not doing that specific job, he gets one of his coaches to help Aaron fix it and think about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's the same in cricket. If Kane Williamson's going through a bad patch in form, well, maybe he's not going to Luke Ronke for advice, but he's going to.
Who would he go to? I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, is anyone better than himself? I mean, that's the whole.
Yeah, well, probably a bad example, but maybe Henry Nichols, who missed out this year, because of poor form. Perhaps he needed one of the Canterbury batting coaches, or the or the Black Caps batting coach, or somebody at the high performance centre to maybe say, well, this is what you used to do, and you're not doing that anymore. Try and go back to what you used to do 2 years ago, when you got that double century at the Basin Reserve. But Gary Steady's a bit of a wet fish, really, isn't he?
Isn't he? And I think the messages that he's sending the team are almost correlate to the comments that, going back to your first point, the comments that Mitchell made. I think that's part of the team culture that he's created.
Yeah.
That he sort of said, look, guys, it's more about, we're inspiring young people. It's the type of cricket we play. It's the way we act on the field and off the field all together. And it's like that wishy-washy sort of message is coming across. And it's almost coming across in the cricket we're playing. We've got the players. We've got the cattle. We really do. We still punch well above our weight. But at certain times, I just think the Aussies just sort of know. They just know that when it comes to the crunch, we're going to shit the bed. Yeah, we are. And they're confident that they are good enough to put the foot on the throat at those moments and do it to us. Yep. We do that occasionally, sporadically, and we might win a session or two, but we can't win a whole day, And I don't know. It's just frustrating, isn't it?
Essentially, we did that to the South African B side, didn't we?
That's right. That's right. Maybe that's just a touch of class. Maybe they've got a little bit more class than us. Maybe they
not
do.
Wanting to get into it too deeply. I think there's another cricket team in the world at the moment are running along the same lines as New Zealand. At the moment.
I think so. I heard Ben Stokes saying, I hope we're inspiring you young cricketers with the type of cricket we won, regardless of whether we lost 4-1. And he might have a point, but nothing inspires kids more than winners.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Anyway, let's move on from cricket, shall we? Let's move to the round.
We did. Yeah, we talked about. I just want to go into the Neil Wagner thing a wee bit more.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So, I mean, a lot of people around, including former Black Cap great Ross Taylor, believe that Wagner was basically told, "You're not required anymore." You can either
he was pushed.
You can either retire gracefully, or we're just going to drop you.
Yeah.
What a disgraceful way to end a career for. I regard Wagner as one of the top 3 New Zealand bowlers, quick bowlers, to have ever played the game.
Yeah, he'd be in the top 5. I mean, it'd be definitely in the top 1 or 2 or 3 this century. Anyway, and just with his attitude, mate. It was only a year ago. It popped up on my Facebook feed. It was only a year ago that he took that wicket and we won that test against England by 1 run.
Yep.
And he was the hero. And a year later, we're saying, mate, we don't need you. We got other guys. We got young guys coming through. I just don't like the way it was done for a start. It's just the wrong way to do it. I mean, you could have said, right, we're going to give you the West Indies tests and then we'll retire you against. Instead, we played the young guys against the West Indies and then one of those guys got injured and then he couldn't play against Australia. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's just I don't know why that's been managed that way. Do you?
It stinks.
It does. Is there something? People like us, we start talking and we start thinking, oh, there's an agenda there, or there's something behind the scenes that we don't know. There must be, because when you look at it from just spectators watching the cricket, he should be in the team. He should be in the team.
Yep. Oh, no, couldn't agree more. And then the spat with Tim Southey when he gave him the finger in the test against South Africa and Hamilton, that spoke volumes. Especially Southey's attempted cover up after the game, or Southey's and Stead's attempted cover up.
Yeah.
It stinks of the same way that Ross Taylor was taken when he had the captaincy taken off him.
Very similar.
That whole thing. It seems to be the vogue with cricket.
The thing is with Roscoe, though, at least he could come back as a player. Then I mean, that's the thing. This is the end of the road for poor old Wagner.
Another wee little snippet of information I heard recently that came out of the mouth of a former Black Cap through an intermediary, so secondhand.
That's okay. We're talking anecdotes.
Apparently, Tim Southey was about to jump to T20 when Trent Boult did, but New Zealand Cricket offered him the test captaincy in a bid to try and keep him after Kane Williamson decided he didn't want to captain anymore.
Okay, so that was a little sweetener to keep him on because they didn't think they could lose both bowlers.
Both bowlers.
I would ask, why didn't they offer Trent Boult the captaincy? But anyway, because I think he's still a better bowler. But regardless, we better talk some football, mate.
Yep. Some more VAR howlers. Apparently, you're allowed to kick somebody in the chest now.
Surprise. Yeah. The Alexis McAllister thing at the end of the Man City game you're talking about. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. I think it was either because it was in the last minute of the game. I think that's probably what it was. And then all the howling the week before because of the Nottingham Forest. What was it? The ball should have been dropped. And then
non-story, that
2.5 minutes later, we score a goal. Yeah, it should have been a penalty. Stonewall. I don't know anyone that says different. I don't know anyone that says different. I mean, but it's almost just what we expect these days, isn't it? I mean,
it sure is.
And I've heard you saying as well, VAR. Maybe we should just get rid of it completely. Go back to the old days. You know, you're watching some of the championship games or the Carabao Cup games or FA Cup games without them. I just think that it's just been done wrong. I mean, the VAR has just been done wrong. It's like they've got too much license. Then they've got, and the referees, when they know it's there, they're refereeing differently, aren't they? Because I guarantee if there was no VAR in that game against City, that Michael Oliver would have given the penalty.
Yeah.
Because he's, but instead he thought, oh, well, I don't want a controversial thing to end the game.
Yeah.
So I'll let it go upstairs and they can take it. So he passed the decision over. And then because he hadn't given it on field, he can't send, which is ridiculous. So why do they send them to the screen and isn't that the whole thing? Oh, there might be something there, so let's send the ref to the screen.
Yeah.
Wasn't that so? Yeah. So it's just the way it's been implemented and the way it's so traffic copy and good process and all that sort of stuff. It just needs to be more simple,
Oh, totally.
I mean, look, we watched the whole of the Women's World Cup here. VAR, was that an issue at all?
No.
Ever? I mean,
no, it wasn't.
It was the whole fucking tournament and there was nothing. There was nothing. And yet every single game, almost every single week in the richest league in the world, it's just time and time again. So to me, it's the way it's being done. I'm not going to.
Well, you can even say the previous Men's World Cup too in Qatar.
Absolutely.
That went by hardly without a VAR fault.
Yeah.
But Premier League, it's just every week.
It's terrible, eh? It's just absolutely shocking. Yeah.
And we've got big FA Cup game on the weekend against the other Manchester side.
Yeah. We'll smash him, mate. We'll smash him. I can't see any different, but we'll probably lose now that I've said that.
Yeah, probably.
Who the hell knows? And, there's a great game going on at the moment. Is it very close? I'm biting my nails. Going on. Oh, what are we leading? 11-2 on aggregate. There you go.
Yeah.
So we're going to romp through in the Europa League.
Some good news for Liverpool, though.
Yep.
Michael Edwards. A lot of people probably have never heard of Michael Edwards, but he is basically regarded as the transfer supremo. He's coming back to Fenway Sports Group, which is the owning entity of Liverpool Football Club, but he's going to be CEO of football. Also, I mean, he'll be overseeing a new sporting director, which is likely to be Richard Hughes from Bournemouth. They're talking about. So that will obviously happen at the end of the season. But he's also going to be helping FSG to try and identify other clubs around the world for FSG to purchase. So we can become like the City Group or like the new owner of the Auckland team who owns Bournemouth and Lorient in France, and also owns the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
So good news for Liverpool. And I've already touched on it. Auckland FC launched their kit and their name yesterday. Auckland FC, it's pretty plain.
Mate, I like it. It's a football club. They nicknamed the Black Knights. I don't know about that, but who gives a shit, really? Yeah. I've seen lots of stuff.
Former All White James Pritchett, who I happen to be friends with on Facebook, reckons that the Black Knights nickname sounds like a condom range.
Oh, yeah. See, they must be a Phoenix fan. I've seen so many Phoenix fans online just bitching and absolutely pathetic. And you're like, guys, relax. It's not even your team. They're already threatened. We haven't even seen a team on the ground. They just need to relax. The rivalry should be great. It should be great. It's just going to be awesome for New Zealand football. I don't see why they need to be so threatened by it. The logo's a bit naff, but I mean they'll sort it out, I'm sure. And what about the colours? Black and blue? Don't
Oh, I
mind
love
them.
it. I love
So
those
do I.
colours. Inter
Yeah,
Milan.
so do I. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite good. And so let's just give it a chance, mate.
Oh,
Let's just give it
absolutely.
a
I
chance.
wish them all the very best. And I noticed a couple of new investors coming on board yesterday, namely Ali Williams, former All Black, and his partner Anna Mowbray, the toy millionaire.
Yeah, well, billionaire. I
Or
think
billionaire,
I
yeah.
think she's a billionaire, so he's got a little bit of coin to
Yeah,
invest.
yeah.
So why wouldn't he? Hey, Ellie Williams.
So
I
yeah,
wonder
good to
whether
see them on board. I wish them all the very best. And the fact that
absolutely.
they've got somebody like Bill Foley behind them,
Yeah.
it's not going to be like the Knights or the Kings or even the Phoenix. They're
No.
going to be well resourced, and it's going
Yep.
to be interesting. I think they're naming the first 9 signings in
Soon.
late April, towards
Yeah,
the end of the current
and
season.
they've also said they're playing at Ericsson for the first Mount Smart or whatever you want to fucking call it.
Go
Go
Media
Media
Stadium.
for the first 2 seasons, is that right? And then they're
Yeah.
going to look at maybe develop. Just get that stadium built down in the waterfront, mate. Just
Yeah,
get that
quite
stadium.
right. Quite
Wouldn't
right.
that just be bloody marvelous? I mean, we've been talking about it for too many bloody years, so I would absolutely love that if they got that done.
I had to laugh at one of the questions on One News last night. The reporter, who perhaps doesn't know a lot about football, says,
Yeah.
"Oh, I see you're going to be playing at Mount Smart Stadium, but your training base is at North Harbour." Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's your point?
Yeah. And what was the point?
The Breakers don't train at Vector Stadium or Spark
You've got
Arena or
to
whatever you
drive
call it.
over the bridge to train.
Yeah. Shock horror.
Yeah, well, journalism in this country, mate. Woo,
Yeah.
There's not many left. There's not many left. That's all.
Let's not get started on that.
The last one will have to turn off the lights.
Yeah.
She could be
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Anyway, bit of rugby.
Rugby.
Is New Zealand's dominance of Super Rugby over after?
Well, the Crusaders is.
No, it is for the Crusaders. They've had a shocker. Started the season 0-3. Yeah,
and they've got the Hurricanes. Oh,
yeah. I watched the
0-4.
Hurricanes on Saturday. Went over the hill to watch the game at Sky Stadium.
Oh, fantastic!
And Hurricanes
have
played really good rugby.
They are. Actually, that was a really good game of rugby, wasn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, the Australian side's not quite showing up yet in the tables. You got the Reds and the Rebels are in the top 4. Rebels have had a couple of easier games, but the Reds beat the Chiefs last weekend.
They did. That was
Big
a fucking amazing upset.
Yeah, yeah. And the Highlanders have also started the season well too, with 2 wins and a loss. They beat the Waratahs last weekend, the Waratahs had thrashed the Crusaders the week before. So good to see the Aussie side starting to perform. Hopefully they can carry it on. And of course, they only won 5 of 26 games against Kiwi sides last year.
So it's actually quite nice to see the Aussie teams doing okay, so long as it doesn't translate to their national team.
Yeah, yeah. So what's happening in the other oval ball arena at the moment, mate? I see Mr. David Moffat is behind a potential South Island.
He is. The South Island Kia, I think he's talking about He's talking about being the 18th team in the NRL, and Mr. Volandi's talked positively about that in Vegas. So that'll be very interesting. I've got a jersey so far, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. David Moffat, he talks a good game, but yeah, we'll see. Last week, the Warriors 12, the Sharks 16. I thought we looked great for 15 minutes, looked sharp and focused, and then we sort of Wade Egan went off injured just after Glenn Lama called him indestructible, which really pissed me off. Mate, he's made of concrete. They need a truck to get. Oh, no, he's injured. He's off. So we lost a little bit of direction at a dummy half, I thought, when he went off, which was unfortunate. And then the Sharks scored just before halftime. Definitely gave them some belief. And the second half was a bit of nip and tuck. Despite conceding a couple of tries, I thought our defense was actually pretty good. But in attack, we never really did anything after Egan had that knock. And key areas at key times. Jackson Ford, I'm looking at you, mate. You need to improve big time. I think we missed the service from dummy half, definitely when Lussick came on. And we also missed the punch from the bench that Nuakore provides. We had Taupiki at fullback, which was quite unusual because obviously CNK's injured, and I would have thought Roger Tuivasa-Sheck could have been moved there. And Tane did well. He got 200 meters, 200 running meters, but I thought we missed a trick because Roger's just so good at chiming into the line and like CNK does and creating that overlap. We just never really got that in the second half. So anyway, positive signs from that game, even though we lost. Nothing that can't be fixed with a few subtle adjustments, and I just believe in our coach. I think Webby, we trust. Same side, they've named the same side versus the Storm this weekend. They haven't beaten the Storm since 2015, so it's about bloody time. Chanel Harris-Tavita could be called in, and I think he'd be better cover at hooker. And Jazz Tavanga and Tamari Martin looks like they're also going to be travelling as well as cover. And then in the other games, let's just go through quickly what happened in the NRL games. The Eagles 36-24 and the Roosters 20-10 over the Broncos. Those games were both from Vegas, from Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. Great games, actually. Both of those games were fantastic games. Then the Knights lost at home to the Raiders. So lots of upsets in this round. The Raiders were just on fire, and yeah, the Knights just basically did nothing, which was quite unusual after their great season last year. The Warriors, of course, lost to the Sharks. Then the Storm held the Panthers to 0, which was a very interesting game. 8-0. Panthers held to 0 after being the champions 4 times in a row. That was a real surprise, but of course the Storm looking absolutely awesome. And then the Eels beat the Bulldogs 26-8. That was probably the only one game that went with the form. The Titans got smashed by the Dragons 4-28 at home, which was a big surprise as well. The Dragons look really good with a new coach, and the Cowboys did it against the Dolphins 43-18. Now, the big thing to come out of the Vegas thing, of course, was the racism thing between Isaac Liu and Ezra Mam. One called one a monkey, the other one called him a coconut, and 8-week suspension. He's going to return, funnily enough, just in time for the Warriors round 10. So he's going to play the Warriors, a bunch of coconuts he's going to be playing against. So it'll be interesting to see. What did you make of all that racism thing, mate? What did you make of that?
Yeah.
What I could say,
I'm not wanting to condone racism in any form. Don't get me wrong.
No, of course not.
When you're on the field and things happen at the heat of the moment, and, you know, certain words come out of your mouth, I just think some players maybe need a bit thicker skins.
Ooh, I think, yeah, I can't go with you there. I really can't. Last year,
maybe it's because I'm a bit older than you.
Maybe. Last year, Marcelo Montoya called a guy a faggot and got 4 weeks. Okay? Yep. He took offense to... I think it's how you take offense. Also, monkey, monkey. And then he says, I wasn't being racist. It is racist. There's better things you could say. If you really wanted to get under his skin, just be more clever about it. I think, look, Aussies are good at sledging. Just come up with better sledges. I mean, more clever sledges. And don't go there with the monkey or coconut or any of that shit, man. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm not condoning it. It just...
I know. It's good to have a dissenting voice anyway, mate. So... and yeah, so that's basically it. There's a couple of good games coming up. The Broncos beat the Rabbits last night. That was a good game. Reece Walsh just looked absolutely amazing. Scored a couple of fantastic tries. The Eels versus the Panthers tonight. West Sydney showdown. That'll be fantastic. Warriors versus the Storm on Saturday night. And then Sunday night is the Roosters versus Manly. So absolutely plenty of league over the weekend, mate. Plenty of league.
Lovely. To finish off with, going back to the other oval ball code, the Hurricanes Power upset the national-led government with their protest haka before their game against the Chiefs Manua.
I was going to say, did they play them? What was the score? They upset the Wellington parliamentarians. I think the score was 50-0 to the Power. To be fair, I mean, why would they be upset?
Well, just bringing politics into sport. That's. I'm not talking about the score, Aaron.
No, I know you're not. What are you talking about then, Ian?
Well, it was on the news the other night. The national government were upset because of some of the wording in the haka that they use, talking about rednecks and all that. Do you think the national government are a bit thin-skinned?
Is that because they thought that they were attacking some of their constituents? Is that why would you take offense to that? I mean, look at this country. Do they know anything about history? I mean, look, I don't want to be too, left leaning here, but they've got a bit to complain about, and putting it in a haka and expressing it that way, that's fine. Well, what's wrong with that? I mean, it's like the people that did the thing at Te Papa when they came down and said, we've been asking for ages for them to take this stupid thing out because it's wrong. In the end, they protested. I'll defend anyone's right to protest unless they don't go home. Unless they don't go home. Go home. Have your protest and then go home. Not like those Wellington people. God. So yeah, that's what I made of that. I thought it was a massive storm in a teacup. What did you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but it was just interesting to see that, a little pre-match haka had dug that deep into the politicians in our country.
It doesn't surprise you though, really, when you're
not at all.
referring to the politicians you're referring to.
Exactly. Yes.
It's just they'll take offense at that, and we've got plenty to take offense at what they do. But anyway.
I make no bones about it. We are a left-leaning podcast.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. We are.
We're all about the people.
That's exactly right, mate. We're all about the people and not the cash, aren't we, mate? That's right.
But if you want to pay us, feel free.
That's right. We're all about the people until it's about the cash. No, we're still about the people.
Oh dear. Oh well, that brings a end to our talk about some of the issues, and obviously the bit of a rundown on Super Rugby and League, the big tournaments going on at the moment. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking a bit of baseball as the Major League Baseball season approaches.
I think we're going to do a whole pod on baseball, aren't we?
Guest. I won't give it away just yet, but he's a very funny man, and we look forward to having him aboard for our baseball edition of the Hot Air Sports podcast coming up in the next couple of weeks. So on that note, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from him.